This is the 2021 Chery Tiggo 5X. Now, it may look similar to last year's model, but there are some changes here, which I'll show you later. It sells for 970,000 pesos. Is it worth your money? Let's find out. Okay, so here at the front, it looks pretty similar to last year's model. You get the same xenon headlamps. Now, they're not LEDs, but they're 4 times brighter than halogens. So over here you get Chery's signature tiger nose grille. You get this chrome accent here that cuts through the Chery logo. It has gloss black grille inserts. Over here you have LED DRLs, and you have some fake air vents here. So you get 17-inch wheels. They're wrapped in 215 60 R17 tires. They're GT Comfort tires. And you get 4-wheel disc brakes. So the Tiggo 5X has power folding side mirrors, which is something that you don't usually see in crossovers at this price bracket. You also get repeaters on the side mirrors. So the vehicle has a smart locking system. As long as you have the key fob with you, you can lock or unlock the door by pressing this button over here. So at the back you have halogen taillights. You have fake exhaust tips over here. So the Tiggo 5X has a manual tailgate, which is not really an issue since it's not really that heavy. So in here you have 340 liters of cargo space, which is a bit more than the Geely Coolray. The Coolray has 330 liters of cargo space. So with the second row seats folded, you don't have a completely flat flooring here. So you have this hump over here. Underneath this, you have a donut spare tire, and you have some tools here.
So one thing that I like about Chery is that they have a pretty consistent design language. Even if you don't see the badge, you can tell that this is a Chery. You can see the family resemblance when you see it next to its Tiggo brothers. Overall, it's a very sharp looking crossover. It would have looked nicer with LED headlights, but I may be asking too much at this price point. By the way, Chery only changed one thing on the exterior, and that's the wheels. They're still the same size, but they're a different design now. Now that alone might be insignificant, but there are 2 more changes on the inside, which I'll show you later.
So let me show you the engine. So this is a 1.5 liter engine. So that's about the same displacement as the Tiggo 8. But this is not turbocharged, so it produces less power. It produces 114 horsepower and 140 Newton meters of torque. It's connected to a CVT transmission. The interior of the Tiggo 5X looks quite premium for the price. So unlike other vehicles in this price bracket, which usually get plastics on the dashboard, this has a lot more soft touch materials. Like this is leather, it's padded. This is not leather, but it's soft, as you can see. This looks like plastic, but it's not plastic. It feels rubberized. And then you have this, it feels like aluminum, and it looks like aluminum. So these are leather wrapped and padded. This is plastic, this is leather. You have a leather wrapped steering wheel, which is very nicely padded. It has tilt adjustment, but it's not telescopic. You get full leather seats, which are perforated. The passenger side seat is manually adjustable, while the driver's seat is power adjustable. You get a 6-way adjustable driver's seat. You can move it forward and back. can move it up and down, and you can recline it. I like how this is laid out. You have everything within reach, and you can reach them without having to lift your elbow off the armrest. This is your volume knob right here. You can also turn the screen on and off using this. You have your home button here. The parking brake button is also easily within reach. And the start stop button is over here, not over here. Now at first it may seem like a weird place to put it, but it actually makes it easier to reach. If you feel like doing this, to press the start button is too much effort for you, then you'd probably appreciate this. Over here you have two USB ports and one 12-volt outlet. So you get a 9-inch screen. You got Apple CarPlay, you got Android Auto, you got a reverse camera. The resolution is pretty good, and you also get active guidelines. As you can see, when I move the steering wheel, the lines also move. So you get a fully digital instrument cluster. You have your speedometer over here and your tachometer over here. So the layout is similar to the Tiggo 8. The speedometer and the tachometer are almost in vertical orientation. Over here is your temperature gauge, and over here is your fuel gauge. Like on most Chery models, the cup holders are pretty small. Over here you have some storage, and you also get a sunroof. It is not panoramic, meaning it doesn't go all the way to the back. Yeah, so let's check out the back seat. Okay, so here at the back seat, legroom is pretty good. I have about, I'm guessing that's about 3 inches of headroom. Over here you have two aircon vents, and the Tiggo 5X is one of the few crossovers in this price bracket that comes with aircon vents at the back. You don't get a center armrest though. Yeah.
There are two upgrades to the interior of the Tiggo 5X. Number one, it has better speakers now. And more importantly, it now has second row aircon vents. At this price, the Chery Tiggo 5X is in competition with the MG ZS and the Changan CS35. The MG ZS has a panoramic sunroof, but it doesn't have second row aircon vents, and it only has a 4-speed transmission, which knocks it a couple of points down. The CS35 is tougher competition for the Tiggo 5X. It has a slightly more powerful engine and a dual clutch transmission. I think the interior of the Tiggo 5X looks nicer though. Watch out for my review of the CS35. I'll post it in a couple of weeks, and I'll also do a full comparo of all crossovers under 1 million pesos.
So driving the Tiggo 5X feels like driving a more expensive vehicle. The NVH levels are pretty good. It's pretty quiet inside the cabin. The steering is also very light. We'll see later if it gets stiffer when you get on the highway. It also has a CVT, but you get simulated shifts on the Tiggo 5X, so it doesn't feel so much like a CVT. Let me show you. See, it shifts, or at least it pretends like it's shifting. Now, as far as speed goes, it's not the fastest car out there. So like on the Tiggo 8, you also get an almost vertical speedometer and tachometer. It takes some getting used to, and the font is pretty small, so it's hard to know what your RPM is without having to focus on the instrument cluster. Yeah, so there's a bit of body roll, which would be expected on a crossover.
Okay, so I saw on Reagan's review that the Tiggo 5X had difficulty going up steep ramps. So that's one thing that I wanted to test out. Now this is a very steep ramp, and the Tiggo 5X was able to go up this ramp with minimal difficulty. Now, I'm not sure if they updated the transmission, but it feels like it's better tuned compared to last year's model. I had the car for 4 days. We decided to take it on a road trip to Tagaytay to feel what it's like on longer road trips. It doesn't feel out of place on the highway. It keeps up with traffic at least. It does take a while for it to get to 100 kph, but it does get there eventually. Obviously, it's not as fast as the Tiggo 8, the Tiggo 7, and the Coolray, but compared to other crossovers under 1 million pesos, it's not really that slow. It's a pretty comfortable vehicle to ride on longer trips. The seats are quite comfortable. It's relatively quiet. When you're just cruising, it keeps the RPM slow, so it's pretty quiet inside the cabin. Except for just a little bit of wind noise when you're going over 80 kph. Nothing too bothersome though. Our destination was breakfast at Antonio's. It was about 3 hours away from QC. So apparently it's very popular among tourists because we had to wait an hour just to be seated.
Finally, makakain na tapos na siyang mag-video.
Was it worth the trip? I'm not so sure. Let's just say that I was more impressed with the Tiggo 5X than the food.
Okay, so I've had the car for 4 days now, and I've consumed 80% of the fuel. I got this with a full tank of gas, and I only have 2 bars left. So yeah, as a daily driver, as a road trip car, I find it perfectly adequate. So in the city I got about 8 kpl, and on the highway I got about 7 liters per 100 kilometers, which would translate to about this much. Now as for the cons, I can't really find much to complain about in this car, given the price and given what you get. If I had to nitpick, I'm not a fan of the vertical speedometer and tachometer. Yeah, that's it. You get a lot for your money on this car, so it somehow feels wrong to ask for more. So Chery will be picking up this Tiggo 5X today, and I'll just be putting some fuel in the tank para may gas naman yung kukuha.
At 970,000 pesos, the Chery Tiggo 5X offers excellent value for money. It offers one of the nicest interiors in its class. It's one of the most feature-packed, and Chery offers the best warranty in the business. The Tiggo 5X comes with 5 years or 150,000 kilometers of general warranty, 3 years of free PMS, and get this, 10 years or 1 million kilometers of engine warranty. At this price, the Chery Tiggo 5X is hard to beat.